Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Let's go over the very small 2-game NBA slate for today on Draftkings, and I totally get it if you want to skip out on this slate. I hate small slates. It usually ends up being big 2v2s. Everyone's got the same lineup. There's going to be a bunch of lineup trains. Everyone's going to be high owned. Your low owned guys are probably going to be about 40% owned. You're going to see a 40% owned guy in your lineup, and you're going to be like, yes, because the rest of your lineup's 70-80% owned. That's just how it goes on small slates like this, but I say that the night before, maybe you could skip out on the slate, but then once tomorrow rolls around, you start getting the itch to play more, and then once an hour before lock hits, you pretty much entered all of your regular contests, and then you're back to square one. So that's just how it goes sometimes. So I'm going to be here breaking it down. And before we continue, I want to apologize that we could not do the Carl Anthony Towns contest. I was giving out a free NASCAR package for the month, but unfortunately he ended up getting ruled out. So there's nothing I could do about it. I'm sorry. I really don't know how to go about it. So just gonna have to scrap it. I apologize, but if you do want to still sign up for NASCAR, we do have 3 races coming up this weekend, so you are getting your best bang for your buck because we're never gonna have 3 races in a weekend the rest of the year. So if you want access to it, you can hit that link in the description below, and you get access to all my articles. I do articles for every single race. I already got 2 up: my projections, my GPP ownership, my data sheet, my cheat sheet. Can't even remember everything. Discord chat. So we've had a lot of people signing up for NASCAR, so that's personally my best DFS sport. So if you want to check it out, you can feel free to do so. And also have my YouTube video up as well. And if you are interested in the NBA spreadsheet, it's pretty much what I preview to you guys every single day. You get access to my projections, my cheat sheets, my core plays, my DVP chart, my Discord chat, and let me tell you, this slate last night, it pretty much changed all my favorite plays almost. Not everybody, but I mean, with Carl Anthony Towns being out, I love James Johnson, which actually I already talked about James Johnson in the video yesterday, but made him an elite play, made Naz Reid a pretty good play, made D'Angelo Russell a core play for me, and DeAndre Ayton ended up getting ruled out, so Diallo is a great play, and so is Devin Booker. Again, a lot of things changed, so I do update all my projections, and I do have a notes page where I update everything, so it's my most up-to-date information if you're interested in that. Like I said, links will be in the description below. This was a long, shameless plug. I'm sorry, but let's get into today's slate. It's going to be a shorter video, so we could afford the longer plug just because we only have like maybe 20 players of that. So up top, we have Kawhi Leonard. He comes in at 9,100. So he's the most expensive guy on this slate. And to be honest, I don't like him that much. But if we're presented enough value, I mean, we'll probably have enough salary to spend up for him, and he's the clear spend up because he's really the only spend up. I forget who was second. It might have been Zion. I think I had the 2 top guys listed here, but yeah, Kawhi Leonard, if you got the salary, you can play him. He's got 50-60 point upside. Now, I don't really love playing Kawhi Leonard when Paul George is playing, and that's going to be the case, and it's also a tough matchup versus Boston, which I really don't care too much about matchups when it comes to Kawhi, but I mean, if you head over to the DVP chart, Boston, they're one of the best defensive teams in the league, as you can see. I believe they're top 5, and they rank 7th versus small forwards, 5th versus shooting guards, 12th versus power forwards. Not the greatest matchup in the world for Kawhi, but again, he's Kawhi Leonard, so it's also not the best matchup for the Boston Celtics either, trying to guard him. And a bit of a pace up, pace down spot, I should say, for the Clippers, which I don't like either. But on the year, he's at 1.52 points per minute, 33.9% usage rate. Obviously, the numbers are strong. I prefer him when Paul George is out, obviously, but we can't get too picky in a 2-game slate. So if you have enough salary, you can play Kawhi Leonard. But I'm personally not going to go all the way out of my way to fit him in my lineups. But it's really not that hard to at 9,100. Zion Williamson, he went absolutely nuclear in the last game. Unfortunately, we didn't see his entire ceiling because that game ended up blowing out, which sucked because I owned the whole game stack there. And man, I already told you guys about that in my last video, but it really sucked. I mean, we could have saw Zion put up his first 60-point fantasy outing, but he absolutely crushed. Brandon Ingram did miss that game, and when you take Brandon Ingram off the court, I mean, he's got great numbers already, 1.3 points per minute at the 30% usage rate. If you take Ingram off, he's close to 1.6 points per minute. That's insane. And then about a 36% usage rate. So if Brandon Ingram happens to miss this game, he is listed as questionable, but it's looking like he's trending towards playing. I think he did some player development drills. I think that's what DraftKings said. And he participated in shoot-around, so it sounds like he's going to be able to go. Although if they want to keep him out one game and just let him rest for the All-Star game, or All-Star break, I should say, I totally get that as well. So we have to keep our eyes on that injury news. But either way, I think Zion's a fine play. 7,800. He should probably be he should probably be an 8K player. I mean, his numbers are really strong. Now he doesn't always play huge minutes, but I do have him projected for about 32 minutes here, which is going to get it done at 1.3 points per minute at this price tag. I'd probably have some interest at 8K, to be honest. So yeah, Zion, I mean, he should be able to absolutely smash here. If you head over to the DVP chart, Oklahoma City, they're a pretty good defensive squad. They rank, where are they at? Can't find them. Oh, I'm sorry, they're all the way down to third. I thought they were in this mid-range. All the way down to third. They rank first versus power forwards, 12th versus centers, second versus small forwards. Not the greatest matchup in the world, but again, we cannot get too picky on these two-game slates. So I'm basically just trying to get some of the best players I can and some guys that are a little bit underpriced. Not saying Zion's really underpriced and it's not a good matchup, but the guy's absolutely dominant. I would say he's probably matchup proof. I mean, the guy's just a freak on the court. He can do pretty much whatever he wants. So we can certainly have interest here in. It's a pace down spot for the Pelicans, but they play fast, so they should look to push the pace, especially playing at home here. So I think Zion's a fine play. Jrue Holiday, another guy that would get a bump if Brandon Ingram happens to miss. I mean, he's had quite a few good games in a row. I know he had that monster game when Brandon Ingram and Zion were both out. But yeah, had a pretty good game last time. I think he had 44, 49 fantasy points, still did pretty well. Price coming up a little bit, 7,400. Not a great matchup versus OKC either. But again, it's a two-game slate, guys. We cannot get too picky. I have to imagine this game's going to have the higher over-under between the two games, Clippers versus Boston. I could see that being it should be lower because, when New Orleans is on New Orleans is on the slate, they usually end up having a pretty high over-under because their offense is very good offense and they don't play very much defense. So it tends to lead to high-scoring games. They only have a 2-point spread here, which I do like as well. So I think Jrue Holiday is fine on the year, 1.15 points per minute, 25% usage rate. Obviously, those numbers go up without Brandon Ingram. So, again, we got to keep our eyes on the injury news. Brandon Ingram, he comes in at 7,200. If he's a full go, he's just a little bit too cheap because he's a very talented player, and he's more of at least a mid-7K player at the very least. He could be close to an 8K player. I mean, obviously, when Zion wasn't playing, he was up to near 9K. I think he was above 9K a couple of times. But 7,200, that's just too cheap if he ends up getting to 35 minutes. On the year, 1.24 points per minute, 28% usage rate. Pretty much similar numbers to Zion. Now, obviously, his numbers have taken a hit with Zion, but he's had multiple good games playing alongside Zion. So 7,200, I think he's totally fine here. Again, not a great matchup versus OKC, but we cannot get too picky on this slate. And I do prefer this game for fantasy purposes over the Clippers game. All right, going over on the other side of the ball, we have Chris Paul at 7,100. I did not mean to rhyme there, but it sounded nice when I just said it. But Chris Paul, 7,100, he had a monster game last time out. I forget exactly who he was playing. Was it the Spurs? I think it was the Spurs. They struggled with guards all season. Chris Paul ended up going off. I believe he had over 50 fantasy points and gets a really, really good matchup here versus New Orleans. New Orleans is even worse versus guards. If we head over to the DVP chart, the Pelicans rank 29th versus point guard, so it's really almost as good as you can get for Chris Paul. Only Cleveland is worse. But, New Orleans like the pace-up spot as well. They are second in pace of play while the Thunder are 19. So you're getting a major pace-up spot, which I do like. And Chris Paul on the year, 1.17 points per minute, 22.9% usage rate. I think he's a very strong play, and I think it's a fair price tag too. So Chris Paul, I can see him being very popular, as everyone's going to be popular on the slate. But I still think he's going to be a pretty strong play. And then right below him, we have the other two guards. We have the guard trio of Chris Paul, SGA, and Dennis Schroeder. They're pretty much all the same play. There's not much difference about them. Obviously, I prefer Chris Paul just from a projection standpoint, but I really like the price of Dennis Schroeder, which should probably skip over SGA really quick. So he's going to play the most minutes between the three, but he's also got the lowest points per minute of the three at 0.99 points per minute, but that's not too far off Schroeder, who's at 1.01, and SGA is going to play more minutes. So he's a pretty strong play at 6,500. He seems a little bit underpriced. 24% usage rate, averaging 35 minutes per game. Point per minute guy, would not surprise me if he got about 35 to 40 points here. He should play pretty good in pace-up spot. Does a little bit of everything in the stat sheet. If we head over to DVP chart, New Orleans is a little bit better versus shooting guards, but still 18th versus shooting guards, 29th versus point guards, 20th versus small forwards. You guys get the idea. It's going to be a pretty good spot for the Thunder. So definitely have some interest in SGA. Dennis Schroeder, same thing. I already talked about Chris Paul. It's an elite matchup as a point guard. He has a pretty high usage rate coming off the bench. He's going to only play about 30 minutes, but he's pretty efficient. 1 point per minute guy. Only plays 31 minutes per game, which is pretty much on par with Chris Paul. Not as good point per minute wise, but still 1.01 points per minute. Really high usage rate of 27.3. Guys got near 50 point upside. Not a bad price tag at 5,800. Certainly have some interest. Continuing the Thunder trend, as you can see, we have like 6 Thunder players here in a row. Gallinari comes in at 5,500. He's probably one of my favorite plays on the entire slate because when I was going down the player pool, like I said, whenever just to start my research, I go down to the utility spot and just scroll down and look, the prices. And Gallinari, 5,500 just seems like a mispricing. He should be 6,500 here. There's no reason for him to be 5,500. I don't know if DraftKings accidentally pressed the wrong number. They fat fingered it. I don't know. I don't know why it's 5,500, but we're certainly going to take advantage of this. I expect him to probably be one of the highest owned players on the slate, but it's deservedly so. And this is just a perfect matchup for a guy like Gallinari who can take a ton of threes, and it's going to be a fast-paced game environment here. It's going to be a high total. He should be chucking threes, and as long as he's hitting them, he's shooting those laser beams, he should pay off this 5,500 price tag quite easily. Now, he's only averaging about 30 minutes per game. Got him for about 31 here, but he's pretty good. 1.05 points per minute. That's not bad for someone that's 5,500 and 24.3% usage rate. Really like the upside here. So, Gallinari, one of my favorite plays in the entire slate. If you head over to the DVP chart, New Orleans does rank 20th versus small forwards and 24th versus power forwards. So, love the spot here for Gallinari. I think he's a very, very strong play, and someone I'm pretty much going to be locking in as of right now. By the way, if this video seems like choppy at some point, it's because I'm pausing because I'm having like a cough attack, if that's what you want to call it. I just cannot stop coughing the past week, so I don't want you guys to hear me hacking all over the screen here, so I pause it if you're wondering why it's a little choppy. But anyway, Steven Adams, he comes in at 5,300. Again, some of these Thunder players just seem a little bit underpriced. Schroeder seems a little underpriced. Gallinari is definitely underpriced. And Steven Adams, I don't know if he's underpriced, but it's a fair price tag. And he could, honestly, he could be about 6K, so 5,300 feels pretty nice here. It doesn't always play the most minutes in the world, but I got him for close to 30 here. He's averaging 26 minutes per game. Pretty decent on point per minute wise, 1.08 points per minute. 5,300, you're going to get about 30 minutes here. He should get you close to 30 fantasy points, if not more. Also, a pretty good matchup here for the Thunder in general and for Steven Adams, as New Orleans does rank 18th versus centers, so I think he's totally fine. I definitely like the Thunder stack here. If you just want to game stack this up and avoid the Clippers game, I totally get it because I much prefer this game because there's a lot of decently priced guys. No one's over the moon here. Most expensive guy is Zion, which 7,800, that's not bad at all. So it's very, very easy to just completely game stack this up. Now the thing is, you're probably going to be left with some salary, so you might be forced to just pay up for Kawhi at the end, but you can't really complain about that. So definitely like the game stack here, and that's going to end the Thunder streak that we've had for a while. Marcus Morris, he should play about mid-30s minutes here, 5K, it's fine. It's not a great matchup versus Boston at all, but we're running out of bodies here to talk about because this is such a small slate. So I threw him on here. Would I have interest on a regular 9-game main slate? No, not at all. But small slate, 5K, can't get too picky here. Should play mid-30s minutes, like I said. On the season, 0.96 points per minute. Again, on a new team now with guys like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, that's going to change a bit from playing on New York when you're really only dealing with Julius Randle and Elfrid Payton. So obviously his usage rate will go down in his points per minute, but he's on a better team now, so there's more opportunities for scoring. If you want to, I don't know if I worded that right because obviously he's going to have a higher usage rate than the Knicks, but I think you guys know what I mean. But he's fine. I'm not going to know my way to play him, but I don't know. It's as much as I can say. Really, he's fine, and he's also playing his old team, so maybe he's got some juice ready for that. Also in Boston, so got that going for him. Derek Favors, I don't know. Whenever I play this guy, he screws me. Then when I don't play him, we'll get like 35 fantasy points. I think he's only played well for me like once. It just doesn't end up working out. I only got him for about 24 minutes here. But if Brandon Ingram misses, we could probably bump that up to like, upwards of 25, 25 if not more. And he's pretty good point per minute wise. The problem is he just doesn't always play too many minutes. But 1.13 points per minute. Obviously, he's taken a pretty big hit with Zion being on the court. But I just like this game stack here, and he's pretty cheap at 4,900. If you look at OKC versus centers, it's actually one of their softer spots. Not like it's a soft spot by any means, but they do rank 12th compared to everything else. So centers and point guards are a little bit soft there. So I think Derek Favors is okay. Obviously, gets a sizable bump if Brandon Ingram happens to miss. Daniel Tice, he's just been playing pretty well. He's got double-double upside, and the Clippers are not that great at all versus centers. They've been struggling all season. So if we head over to the DVP chart, I believe the Clippers are like 17th versus centers. Or no, 22nd, so they're even worse than I thought. So yeah, that's their soft spot. They're 15th versus point guards, 15th versus shooting guards, 14th, 12th, 22nd versus centers. So, and obviously Daniel Tice will get some run at power forward as well, or mostly Jason Tatum, but he's fine. They struggle down low, and Daniel Tice has not been that bad. He's got 30-plus point upside. We've seen it multiple times this season. Obviously, it's always nice when one of the Celtics' main players misses a game, which it seems like almost every slate, one of those Celtics players is out, but that's not going to be the case this time around. Jaylen Brown is probable for this game, so obviously it's going to hurt him a little bit, but it's a small slate. I could see wanting to go with Daniel Tice. He's going to get closer to 30 minutes here on the year. I think he's been about 1 point per minute guy. Yeah, 0.98 points per minute, low usage rate, but I think he's fine at this price tag, 4,600. Good matchup down low as well. Harrell, he's not been good. He had a decent game when Kawhi Leonard was out, but he's not been playing well at all. This price tag's kind of justified, but it still seems a bit too cheap at 4,500, so I certainly don't mind taking a stab at that. He's also been about a point per minute guy this season. If we head over here, 1.16 points per minute, so even better than a point per minute. It's actually not bad at all. And a 25.8% usage rate, which is also pretty strong for a guy that's 4,500. I don't like the recent form he's in, and I also don't like this matchup too much. If we head over to the DVP chart, Boston, they do rank 6th versus centers, 12th versus power forwards. Not the greatest matchup in the world, but again, small slate, so we can't get too picky. But 4,500, I think you could do worse than Montrezl Harrell, so certainly look his way. Would I rather play him over Tice? It's a tough question. I feel like I would, just because he's better point per minute wise. They should get close to similar minutes, but it's a tough question. But I think I would side with Harrell. JJ Redick, if Brandon Ingram's out, he'll get a bump here. Only got him for about 20 minutes here. If you take Ingram off, he'll get closer to 25. And it just seems like, I don't know, every time I see JJ Redick play, he tends to do well. I know that's not always the case, but this just seems a little bit too cheap for him. It should be a pretty solid game for fantasy purposes. If you want to take a flyer at 4,400 on JJ Redick, I get it. 0.88 points per minute. The guy's got 3-point upside if he's hot from deep. And if Brandon Ingram is out, certainly have some interest. If Brandon Ingram is in, that's minimal interest because he's probably going to play about 20 minutes. So Zubac, 4,200. Doesn't play a lot of minutes, but he has upside. He's pretty good point per minute wise, right on par with Harrell here, 1.15 points per minute. Low usage rate, but yeah, obviously. But when Zubac's in, he's not that bad. Now, he only averages about 17 minutes per game, which is a little rough. Got him for about 20 here, so he's pretty similarly priced to Harrell, and I'd rather play Harrell, but you could go with Zubac. I don't hate it. Now, like I said, Boston is pretty solid down low, and they're pretty solid in all aspects on defense, so it's not like I'm trying to pick on Boston by any means, but we don't have a lot of spots to go here, and honestly, you could do worse than Zubac at 4,200. I'm sorry, there's just not a lot to say about all these guys because it's a very small slate. I don't really like any of them too much. If this was a main slate, I'd have no interest in literally any of these guys at all, but that's all we got to work with. Melly, so he's actually had quite a few games in a row with over 20 fantasy points. Now, obviously, he will take a hit if Brandon Ingram is in because he plays about mid-30s minutes. He's got 28% usage rate. 28.5% usage rate, 1.24 points per minute. If you take a guy like that off the court, obviously a lot of minutes open up. And as of right now, I got him for like 17 minutes. That's not going to probably get the job done, even though he's cheap. But he is at 0.85 points per minute on the season, which is not too bad. But only really interested in if Brandon Ingram is off. So that's why I have him listed here. But there's really not much else to say. Netherlands Newell. So I wasn't going to put him here, but he's 3,200. He's usually around that 4K range. They put him all the way down to 3,200, which just seems a little bit too cheap. And they got him for close to 20 minutes. And if he gets close to 20 minutes at this price tag, I have a hard time seeing him not paying off here. He doesn't have to do much at all. Averages 18 minutes per game, 1.1 points per minute. I'd have a hard time seeing Newell not get there, to be honest. That's just a little bit too cheap. I don't know why it went down so much. A lot of these Thunder players, they're in a good matchup, and DK priced them down. The most expensive one's Chris Paul at 7,100. I think they could have priced him up a little bit on a smaller slate just to make it a little bit tougher. Then you got guys like Gallinari 5,500, Adams 5,300. I don't know. It's like DraftKings is begging us to play the Thunder. Maybe the Thunder are gonna absolutely bust. I don't know, but I don't see it happening. So Noel at 3,200, I totally think you can get away with that. So that's pretty much gonna be it for the player-by-player breakdown. This is a much shorter video than usual. But before we get out of here, I do want to talk about the sponsor, OverlayDFS.com. So if you watch my videos, you already know who this is, and hopefully you've already signed up to play over on Overlay. But if you are new, this is OverlayDFS.com. Newer, fun, casual, more suited for the casual user DFS website. I really do enjoy it. I would not recommend this to you guys if I didn't play there myself. This was from the night prior. So it's as easy as about the sound. It's a pick'em based website. So it's basically whoever thinks going to score the most points, you pick that player. It's as simple as that. There's no salary cap restrictions. There's no sharks over here. You don't have to worry about Chipotle in these contests or any of those kind of guys. So you don't have to worry about any mass multi-entry, those kind of guys. And it's a very fun website. It's fun sweating the games out. You're always in it until the very end. And also, the thing that's really getting me is, as you can see, right up there. If you just keep following my finger a little bit up, no, it's mirrored. Sorry. If you keep following a little bit up there more, you're gonna see that 12-0 record. It's gonna pay out almost $11,000, and someone's gonna win it. So why not you? Check it out. I do not want to miss out on winning about $11,000. Guys have come close pretty much every single night. We had a whole bunch of guys go 10-2 the night prior. I've seen some guys go 11-1. I mean, just one different pick, and you can take home about $11,000. So you do not want to miss out on that. This jackpot is getting very, very big. When they first reached out to me, the jackpot was around 4,000. So someone is due to hit soon. You do not want to miss out on that. I mean, it's a $22 contest to enter with the upside of winning about $11,000. So check it out, guys. OverlayDFS.com. The payout structure works. If you finish in the top 10% of the contest, you'll win 9 extra money. So, for example, this is the $22 Double Deuce contest, which is, in my opinion, is the best contest on the site. If you happen to place in the top 10%, for example, this one was the top 12. Yes, I know I didn't make it, unfortunately. But you'll win $180, and they pay you out quick. I'm talking like they'll pay you out within a couple of hours, and you can withdraw it into your bank account, and they'll pay that within a couple of hours. Like, just the whole process takes only about few hours, unless it's like late at night. Maybe it'll go on to tomorrow. But they pay you out quick. It's a legit website. Would not recommend this to you guys if I didn't play there myself. It's fun to sweat the games. Really do enjoy it. So check it out. OverlayDFS.com. No promo code, or for me, I don't know if they have promo codes, but you don't have to tell them that I sent you. None of that. Just go sign up. I don't have the link in the description below because I don't want to get banned on YouTube, and hopefully you guys don't want to be banned on YouTube either. So check it out, guys. Just how it sounds. OverlayDFS.com. Check it out, and it's going to be it for this video, guys. Hope it was helpful. If it was, before we forget, there's a Slump Buster challenge on Overlay, which I also think is probably really, really cool. So God forbid if you lose 20 days in a row, hopefully that wouldn't happen to you, but if it does, they will refund every single dollar you deposited. Think about that. They're basically daring you guys to lose. They will refund every single dollar that you deposited. And this is not 20 consecutive days. If, let's say you play once a week for 20 weeks in a row, they will refund every single dollar. So hopefully you guys don't lose 20 days in a row, but if they do, they will refund your money. So check it out, guys. And like I said, this is going to be it for this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. Really appreciate it. Follow me over on Twitter at ChrisPennell16. Support me over on Patreon. It's much appreciated. Got the NASCAR going. I put a lot of content out for NASCAR, so check it out. We got the races tonight. We got the 2 dual races. And then on Sunday, we have the big race, Daytona 500. So I am very excited. And it's going to be it. See you guys in the next video. Enjoy your Thursday. Is tomorrow Thursday? It is Thursday. Yeah, it's trash day tomorrow. So yes, it is Thursday. Enjoy your Thursday.